This is Brenda Jensen, and I am working on my video for EDU 649, and I'm doing a professional development on simplifying response to intervention, 4 essential guiding principles. It is a book that I read, and this is what the book looks like. And it was a very good book, and I am working on doing a professional development for that. This is my agenda. We are going to, I'm going to talk about the book a little bit. My learning target is I can use the 4 guiding principles of RTI to guide my thinking and implementation of RTI. And my outline is, number 1 is asking the right questions, and then I have the 4 questions listed. Why are we here? Number 2, what knowledge and skills will our children need to be successful adults? Number 3, how effectively are we preparing students for these future challenges? And number 4, what must we do to make success the reality for every child? Then my second part of my outline is changing the way we think about interventions, and it's the 4 C's of RTI. Number 1 is what practices must we follow if we want all students to succeed? 2, where do we need to go to guide us in this process? And 3, how do we get every child there? The first thing I'm going to do is have everyone in my group fill out this form where I want them to rate themselves on the knowledge of the use of the 4 guiding principles of RTI before we start. And 1 is beginning and 4 is innovating. And then I'm going to have them rate themselves at the end of the session to see if they have moved up in any of the areas. Basically, what I want to do is just give them some information about RTI, because I know when I first heard about it, I didn't know a whole lot about it. And I was kind of confused as to what it was and what people use it for. So this is kind of just a brief overview of what RTI is and why we would do RTI instead of identifying students for special ed and help like we have in the past. The first thing I want to do is show a video. I'm going to show this quick video right now.
At first glance, RTI is a method to identify learning disabilities. Oh, there's a new method. We're not going to do the discrepancy anymore. We're going to do this RTI thing, and that's how we have to get them in special ed. No. But it could play a much larger role. We look at the child, we look at the need, and we apply an intervention based on that need. We're not going to wait for them to get that label to give them more time and support. The model that we had when I was an elementary principal in the 1990s is called the discrepancy model. In the discrepancy model, as most of you know, we wait for children to fall approximately 2 years behind grade level expectations, and then we're going to give them more time and support. This has been not so fondly referred to as the wait to fail model. We wait for you to fail, and then we give you some help. Our middle school and high school teachers, you have been working with a generation of students, some of whom can't comprehend your textbooks. And this is why they're having great difficulty in middle school and high school. So I think RTI has tremendous potential. I see it as a very positive thing. And most importantly, I see it as the same thing as Rick DeFore's question 3. How are we going to respond when we discover kids don't learn?
Okay, that was a solution tree video that I had. And now I am going to show you the handouts that I'm going to give the people in the group. I have my PowerPoint already written up here and printed off. And basically what I'm going to do is give them each a handout with the whole PowerPoint on it with little note lines. And it ends up being 5 pages with lines of notes that they can write on each page. I will quickly go through my PowerPoint now. At the end, I also have some resources I'm going to give them. They will get a copy of a universal screening planning guide that's in the study reproducible area under solution tree in my book. That was a website they said you could go to and get some things. So there's 2 pages to that. A planning guide protocol on the back. a student risk screening scale. Right now we don't really want to use RTI in our schools for behavior. We're just going to use it for reading, help in reading. So I don't want to hit the behavior area too hard because I know our school is not using it for that at this point. Here is another handout that has additional resources on it. And these resources are basically websites that you can go to find some more information about RTI. And there's 2 pages of that. Actually, more than that. 3, 4. And then the last one is, I just kind of like this page because it's essential questions for special education identification. And what we really want to talk about is how this is not just used for identifying students for special education. It is for identifying any student that needs help in any area. I think that's what people get confused with on RTI, is that it's only used for special ed, and it is not. Now I'm going to go to my PowerPoint, and I will go through each of the slides in that. My first one is just the beginning, the title. The next one is a cartoon that says the definition of insanity is doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So basically RTI is a new way of doing things, and it's not just another new thing to do. That's how teachers look at it, a way to waste our time. It is something that actually works. In order to implement RTI, we have to ask the right questions. First one's, why are we here? Second one, what knowledge and skills will our children need to be successful adults? Number 3, how effectively are we preparing students for these future challenges? And 4, what must we do to make success the reality for every child? To answer the first question, why are we here, we have to answer what is the business of our business. Then basically just talks about how schools weren't set up to just give high-stakes standardized tests that were regulated by the government. And if you take away those extra layers, the students can become successful, self-sufficient adults. And the second one is, what knowledge and skills will our children need to be successful adults? And this basically talks about how we are preparing students for jobs that don't even exist, and technologies that haven't even been invented will be used in order to solve problems that we don't even know about yet. So this is kind of a difficult situation in this case. And it says, this one is a good quote, I thought, due to this acceleration of human knowledge, the definition of literacy in the 21st century will not center on whether a person can read and write, but whether a person can learn, unlearn, and relearn. And that's by Alvin Toffler. I thought that was a very good point in RTI. And then it's just basically saying on this slide that if we want to prepare students for jobs that don't even exist, we have to figure out how we're going to go about this. And so we just can't teach comprehension and computation skills. We have to get our students to be able to have higher level thinking, to analyze, synthesize, evaluate, compare and contrast, and manipulate and apply information. And the third question, how effectively are we preparing students for these future challenges? It basically talks about how education was designed prior to now based on a lot of people were farming and working in factories, and now there's only a small percentage of students that do. Now there's only a small percentage of people that work in those areas. And at that time people didn't go to college much, so they used the bell curve to identify those few that were probably going to go on to get a higher education. This one is basically, so basically on that last slide, what we need to do is we need to figure out how we have to change our way of teaching so we can hit every child. And what must we do to make success the reality for every child? This is just talking about how we have to change things based on how education it needs to be now and how the students are now versus the farming communities that people used to grow up in. Then there are 4 C's to RTI, and I'm running out of time, I see. So I have slides on those 4 C's to RTI. And then at the very end, I am going to show the Mike Matos video that you had sent us about the inverted pyramid, just kind of go over how he has the inverted pyramid for his way of thinking.